Well, hi everybody. I believe we are live now. This is Body Electrician Live, and we're sorry we're a little bit late. We were having a couple of technical difficulties, but we're trying to work them out, and if we can't, we're going to use the old-fashioned phone system. So there you go, to get our last guest on. I'm Nancy Piscatello. We have Cheryl Whitehouse, who is also another HandScan hub out in San Diego. And we have the Honorable Dr. Will Spencer with us tonight. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Anyway, so we had a bit of a crazy start here, but we figured we'd officially start. So we also have Bob coming on, and he should be on in a little bit. He had a few other little issues, but hopefully he'll be on in a little bit. And in the meantime, we want to say hi to everybody at Body Electrician Community Kitchen. We're getting to know everybody over there, having a lot of fun getting to know everybody. And I know you guys all have questions, and I believe if you follow the Google Plus link, I think, guys, there's a way to post questions, and then we will see them, and one of us will answer it. So, Will, how was your show today? Sorry to have missed it, but I do get the archive, so I can listen again later. But how was the show?
Not too bad. We had a pretty good show. It was a little bit weird, I guess. Every show is a little weird because it's an alternate perspective.
That's right. Why did you name it that, Will?
Because actually that name come up, Deland come up with that name, and it just fit an alternate perspective, a different view, because you have. It kind of was Patrick's fault in a way, but it was you have the white coats and the gray coats. You have the Republicans and the Democrats. You have up, you have down. You don't have a third choice. You don't have another choice.
Yeah, good point.
All you have is like Patrick was talking about today, like the medical system, or the natural health system. So you have a rusty knife on the table and you have a gun. Which one would you like to be punctured with? I mean, you don't have another choice, so it just fits. Because our views, our views are kind of different. I mean, compared to most everybody else. My view of health is like insane compared to, even the natural health industry, because we're way over here, and so it just fit really well. And then the whole conversation idea is really nobody does things like that. It's just like listening into conversation, and I was brought up that way, where I learned so much just by listening to the old timers, the old guys, the old people, and you just learn so much just by listening in on their conversations as a kid. And I'm like, we got to do this. No one's doing this.
Absolutely.
It just happened. Just like this, we're having conversations.
We're having conversations
in real time, and you get to learn, you get to like listen in. Like everyone has got that little voyeur in the back of their, it's like, ooh, I get to listen to this conversation. It's like, but you learn that way. You really do.
Yes, I agree. One of the maybe you could talk about that briefly again. There was an item that keeps coming up and people keep asking about it, the little huffer, and that's kind of a cool little story. In fact, somebody asked me about that today because a good friend who wanted to, who got the scan, and now she was questioning. She's having little difficulty breathing, some nasal problems, and I thought the little huffer might help with that. In fact, it might even be on her protocol. So I forgot to look that up, but I was going to look that up. But you could tell us what is in that and what it does for you and where it came from.
Well, first it came from a Native American Indian friend of mine. And what's in it is simply a golden seal root dried and ground up. wild harvested. I try to get all my herbs wild harvested. I still do a lot of collecting myself, because wild harvested herbs are much more medicinal value. They have much more medicinal value than farmed or agriculturally raised herbs, just because they're wild. They have to have a lot more life in them to be wild, growing out in amongst nature than the agricultural farmed herbs. So, it literally kills pathogens on contact. It's a very I hate the word antiseptic, but it kills on contact. And if you have upper respiratory infections or problems or with any microbes or pathogens in your upper respiratory system, it is amazing. I mean, I was introduced because I had bronchitis and when I was younger, and this friend of mine said, "Here, try this. Just inhale this dust." So he had it in a bag, those little the brown paper sandwich bags. So you'd shake it up and just put it up to your mouth and just inhale that dust. That's what the huffer. You're just huffing the dust, just And
It
I
does make
started.
you cough a little.
Say that
Sometimes
again.
it does make you cough a little bit sometimes afterwards. But that's actually the idea, is it not?
Yeah,
Some,
it's an expectorant, so it will expel, cause you to cough up and expel the stuff it's killing.
yes, exactly. Cheryl, were there any questions? I thought it kind of is a nice thing to keep going back to the kitchen and talk about what little issues come up there, what questions we have. Are there any that are sticking out in your head?
We did have a question like about maybe for children, young children, or special needs kids, or people who just refuse to take certain supplements that don't taste good, and how to help the little people to take them. We did get some good advice from other people, like for AOT, to do an AOT bath, or to do an AOT foot bath. I was wondering if Will had any other advice for maybe some of the other ones too that just aren't so pleasant.
Oh, Will?
Well, I'm a little hard. Well, I'm thinking. So I'm a little hardliner on this. I was brought up, I guess, a little old-fashioned, where this is good for you. This is the way it's going to be, and here we go. We're going to do this. So, I mean, my kids were swallowing pills, capsules, and doing all kinds of crazy stuff while they were still in diapers.
Wow.
So they were trained from little on, and so I didn't really have the learning curve. They were just taught to do this straight away. So it's all in the training. How are you going to do this? Are you going to, when they're older, you can maybe reason with them. I know special needs, it maybe have a difficult time reasoning, but there's still, it comes down to, in my book anyhow, this is just where the way I was raised, who's the parent, and the parent is supposed to know what's good for the child. So is the child going to buck this? Well, maybe you don't understand the fully logic in what you're doing yet, because you're doing something that's supposed to be good for you. And everything doesn't taste like Cocoa Puffs. So you got to really get, it's like, we're conditioned as a society to be having, this taste sensitive, smell sensitive, texture sensitive, and I'm just I guess old-fashioned. That's the way I was brought up. If you got something that's good for you, that's going to help you to get into a healing state, at some point in time, if it doesn't taste pleasant to you, then either you're not going to do it or you're going to do it. So there again, I don't like this topic to talk really. I'll just be straightforward. If it's my kid's doing it whether they like it or not, because they don't have the ability to discern for themselves. That's why I'm the parent, and that's just me. maybe everyone has their own place, but that's just me. You just have to find a way. If you want to do something bad enough, you will find a way. And there's a lot of different ways. With the advanced oxygen therapy, there's a lot of different ways to take that. With the tinctures, there's pretty much just one. It's designed to put in your mouth and used as a homeopathic remedy in your mouth, as well as biological. You're swallowing the contents of it. So it's got to go this way in order for it to work. Now, with the minerals, for instance, we had a gal that was unable to swallow them for whatever reason, and so she was actually like putting it on her skin, and it was absorbing that way. Well, that works with some things. It doesn't work with everything, but it does work, and to some extent, it worked for her. And now she's up to actually, I think she's taking it orally now. So it. I guess I'm not a very politically correct answer and very soft answering when it comes to that, because if I see as a parent that my child is going to benefit from something, no matter what it tastes like, whatever the texture is, then here you gotta put it in you. It won't work unless you put it in you somehow.
Yeah.
You know.
I see what you're saying.
I mean,
Well,
when my kids were small. Well, when my kids were small, I did some things using an enema.
Oh, wow.
You know, if they won't take it orally, it's got to get in there somehow, and you got to find another orifice, and that's the only other orifice there is really to get it in the digestive system.
Okay.
And so it only took 2 enemas, and they had no problem then putting it in their mouth. Because that was no fun.
So that was psychological.
Yeah, in a way it was for me, but then I didn't have special needs kids, so then that's a whole other paradigm that you got to deal with, because there's the logic stuff there just is a little. I know it's a little different, and just have to be creative somehow. I don't know. I'm not a really good one to ask for special needs help like that. I'm kind of a hardliner. If this is good for you, you need to take this. And so. I'm sorry, maybe that's not a very good answer, but that's my answer.
Well, it's honest. We like that.
Yep.
Cheryl, you have other ones? You look like you have another one there.
I did actually have a question, or well, actually, I'd like to hear more about Will's what he thinks of Diet Coke. This is and maybe I'd like to make a public apology first of all. In my past, I feel I was very judgmental towards people about what they ate or didn't eat. I just want to say I'm sorry about that, because this is part of that. The person that is involved, I feel that I was judgmental about that. So anyhow, I would be helpful for people to know about Diet Coke.
You mean Diet Coke as in the whole product? It's not good. I mean, to me, that's not food. That's toxic waste. So, I mean, if you want to be specific, I mean, what do you want to be specific about? Because it's not food.
The effects on the body from Diet Coke.
Well, you can pretty much easily break that down. The synthetic sweeteners, a neurotoxin. The acids that they use is a neurotoxin. It endangers and harms the entire endocrine system, your digestive tract. I mean, it's pure food for pathogens and parasites. It causes acidosis. It causes irritable bowel. The list of symptomology with long-term consumption of that toxic waste is huge. I mean, it leads to all kinds of problems, and so here we go. Diet Coke, ingesting something that's going to clean the rust off your bumper and take the bird poop off your window I don't have anything good to say about it. It's not a food item. It's a pure industrial waste. And so if you bought into consuming it and now you're hooked on it, well, you got a heroin type issue now because you've become addicted to this. I mean, I know some people. I know a lady that was drinking 3 2-liter bottles of Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi a day. This lady was obese. She had migraine headaches that would not stop. She was taking, I don't even know how many pharmaceutical drugs to augment the headaches and the neurological problems, let alone the other things going on. So, I don't have anything good to say. And I will totally accept my judgmentalness because it's not food and it's not anything good for you. And that's my 2 cents. And I'm sorry that you're now waking up and realizing that it may be not good for you, and it may be a challenge to get off. A weaning process. I don't recommend just cold turkey because I've seen people quit that stuff cold turkey, and it can be quite physically and mentally and emotionally unpleasant, especially if you're a long-term consumer of that stuff.
Wow. So there's actually withdrawal symptoms. Is that what you're saying, Will, from getting rid of it?
Yeah, because you become physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically addicted to this stuff. It's got chemicals in it that alter your brain functions, your neurological function, your neurotransmitter function. It alters you.
Hmm. There's so much in our food supply that's like that now. And that's always something you talk about too, how what we're eating, we need to go back to the way nature produced things, the way the farmers used to grow things. All of that plays into our health today.
Yeah, you got to read labels. They're putting high fructose corn syrup in a lot of stuff. They're hiding monosodium glutamate and with over 60 different label names for some simple ones for MSG are flavors, spices, natural flavoring, textured protein.
Wheat extract is another one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know there's all kinds of little loopholes they can put it in.
Yes, it's legal. See, that's why the labeling laws in this country are so corrupt that even a word like spices.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the store the other day and I just happened to come across a different. I was looking for tomato sauce or something, and I found one that actually listed garlic, basil, tomatoes. And then the brand right next to it, it had all of that, but then it had the word spices on it. Well, isn't garlic and basil spices? Why would they have to put this other name, spices, in there when they have garlic and basil and onion and whatever else in there? Well, that's because spices is not spices. Spices is monosodium glutamate.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And even things like citric acid, which seems so innocuous. Oh, it's just citric acid. What, oranges? Is that what's in there? Lemons? Oh, no problem. But when you really read into it, I mean, you could tell us some stuff about the citric acid, I'm sure.
Right, citric acid comes from corn. Genetically modified corn. And so it's the corn that they feed to the genetically modified this particular strain of E. coli that digests it to create citric or ascorbic acid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's people got to start doing their research. You cannot trust hardly anything anymore unless you actually absolutely know.
I know there's a little too much in the food lately. Gee whiz. Cheryl, weren't you bringing up things about the teeth as well? I thought that was a really interesting topic because Cheryl and I were talking today and how it came up on my son's scan, a lot of things about teeth He had things like pustules, all kinds of things with the teeth that were stressing his mouth. Now, a pustule that was there is gone, which I found really amazing. So that was great news. But Cheryl is also seeing a lot of those in her scan she has done. Am I correct on that, Cheryl?
I've seen, yeah, the dental stuff comes up a lot now. A couple of clients, one had, it was like a dental fistula, and I didn't even know what that was. And so I asked her, and she said, yeah, that's something that I experience when I'm under stress. And yeah, that shows up in a scan. Another client had some things to do with the root canal and dental material and the bacteria that shows up after you've had a root canal. So I asked her, have you had a root canal recently? And yes, she had. So, you know, there could be an issue there with something that's not resolved from the root canal.
Right.
That's interesting to know. For myself, I have some cavity stuff. I haven't been going to a dentist for maybe the past year trying to do the dental sovereignty, which is a little scary. But yeah, I had some cavities or caries come up, and I haven't felt anything when I've had the scan. I'm like, okay, you know, 'cause so much stuff comes up on the scan that sometimes you can get a little, you know, okay, whatever to it. But then recently, like I feel, oh, it's getting sensitive over there. I drink cold water, and so I was doing some oil pulling the other day, and anyhow, yeah, there's something going on there.
So did that come up in your scan?
Yeah.
Cheryl,
Yep.
Okay. And Will, do you have any comments on the dental thing? Because I know that comes up a lot lately.
I do. I got a great comment, or just something to share. Last year, we were at an event in Albuquerque, and we met a former dentist. And we had dinner with him, and we got to talk. I'm like, well, why aren't you a dentist anymore? And he said he educated himself out of being a dentist. And I asked, well, what does that mean? He said, well, I started doing research on what I was putting in people's mouths and what I was doing, and he says there is no such thing as a safe dentist. I don't care what you call it, he said, if it's a biological dentist, if it's there's all these fancy marketing terms that they use now for people to try to make themselves sound better.
Yeah.
And he says there's nothing in the dental industry. If you hold a DDS license from the AMA, there is nothing that they do that is healthy or sustainable or that will not harm you, other than just a plain extraction. That's it.
And so now, if that comes up in your scan, let's say you follow the protocol, you follow your diet, you follow all the suggestions on the protocol, do you find that a lot of people, it resolves, all these dental issues resolve?
If people take things seriously and follow along, yes. I mean, I personally haven't been to the dentist, let's see, about 89, I suppose, 1989 or something. I just refused to go. I have had nothing but bad experiences at the dentist, other than I had braces as a child and my teeth look straight now.
Right.
But I had a very crooked teeth when my adult teeth grew in. I had 11 extra teeth pulled out of my mouth to make room for the braces. I had a lot of cavities as a kid. And so I've done a lot of looking into what causes cavities and what causes dental problems like that. And it seems to be an acidosis state where the body generates a lot of acid. Even with people that don't eat sugars, don't drink soda pops, you know, they're really fairly clean with the diet, they still have acidosis states. And here's where the mental emotional connection comes in. When you're living with in a perpetual state of anxiety, fear, worry, agitation, you're creating an acidosis situation because you're just producing a lot of stressor hormones. And when you're producing a lot of stressor hormones, that in and of itself can eat away at the teeth enamel right around the gum, because the acid is actually not coming from the food you're eating, but it's coming from your internal body. It's coming from your tissues.
We talked about that the last time. How I believe you were slapping both of us in the face or something like that, wasn't
That's
that?
right.
No, it had to do with how your body can go acidic so quickly, and it's all about, I guess, how you're feeling about life.
Well, it's about the conflict that you're holding within your body.
Right.
The
right.
conflict between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. And so that's huge. I mean, that is the bulk of the problems, really, for most people. I'm included. I mean, I know I grew up a certain way that doesn't work, and now as an adult, and now I'm working on making my life work. And the more, I mean, I hear it, I do the scans, I follow the protocol, and I'm telling you from my own personal experience, I'm doing that, plus I'm doing other things to help myself, empower myself, to get myself straightened out. And I can tell the calmness that comes over me now versus 20 years ago is a huge difference. The fear that used to be there is now pretty much gone, and there's more confidence, self-confidence, self-esteem, and I mean, I feel empowered in myself, as in who I am and what I am. And when you start down this path, we encourage people to do a lot of other things other than just the protocol, because there is so much more to do to become a human being rather than just a human doing. And that's a whole other conversation, because everyone is just doing their life. They're basically victimized by their life, and they're falling apart.
Yeah.
They're not creating their life. They're not living their life. They're at the effect of their life. And when you start creating and living your life as an empowered human being, your internal environment will alter. Your acidosis state will calm down. You will become more able to be the acid levels and the alkaline levels, that pH level fluctuates from moment to moment in your life. It corrects itself if it's acidic. It corrects itself if it's too alkaline. Because now we're seeing people that are over-alkalizing their bodies causing almost the same thing as an over-acid state. That's not balance. I mean, you can over-alkalize yourself and cause illness.
Interesting.
Because it's not balanced. The pH scale goes from 0 to 14 basically, and the 7 being neutral or in the middle. You know, too much this way is just as bad as too much that way.
Homeostasis.
Homeostasis, balance.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So, another topic, I sort of brought this up. It ties into some of the conversations we have about Bruce Lipton and the psyche and things like that. It's the genetics versus epigenetics, and how what you're living changes, your environment basically changes your body. Everything changes, your cells. And I think that's a really interesting topic. And the reason, by the way, that I brought that up at all is because someone had brought it to my attention that they know someone who has that, I believe it's called BRCA gene, which is BRCA. I guess it's 1 or 2, and this came up. They have this genetic defect or whatever you call it, and the doctor.
You got to really say that line of thinking, the genetic defect, is coming from the allopathic diagnosis of probably cancer, or they're trying to hook you into the cancer industry that way.
Oh, I know, because they asked this woman to talk to her daughters and make sure that they're very aware that they have this BRCA gene within them. And then I was asked the question, what would I do if I found out that I had that? My first response was I probably wouldn't find out that I had that because that's not something I would want to know, first of all. The other thing is we all live different lives and we're affected by our life differently, and therefore I think our genes express differently because of that. And I think the new science is really backing me up on that, and I'd love if you could talk a little bit about that, Will.
Well, I'd encourage people to start reading Bruce Lipton's work.
Here.
The honeymoon effect is one that I would highly recommend. I mean, I bought a couple of those for like $2 plus shipping off of Amazon, so they're around. And so that's the honeymoon effect. So this whole gene thing, so you got to really realize that when you go into the allopathic and most of the naturopathic mindset, they think the same. It's all about gene, what I guess Bruce is calling it gene determinism. So it's like you're born with a set of genes, and those genes are the same until you die. But now we know that you can change your gene expression very easily. So that means you can turn this gene BRA, what is it, bracket number 2,
Yeah.
BRAC2 or whatever, you can have that turned off so it doesn't even express, just as easy as it was turned on, just by altering your perception, doing some things dietarily wise, because in my mind that gene is only there expressed because there's some kind of an infection going on. That's the response of the infection. Because simple breast cancer, for instance, your whole breast chest area is loaded with lymphatic nodes, and having a swollen lymph node is part of the healing process. And so by going to your medical people or most of the naturopathic world, they're going to then pull a sample of some kind, and then they're going to look for this specific gene, so then they can hard market you the whole cancer marketing ploys to draw you into that, whether it's the chemotherapy and radiation and allopathic, or over here in the natural health world, they could possibly talk you into all kinds of different modalities for cancer that really don't fix much, but they cost a pile, so it's a great revenue stream if they can get you talked into this. So either way, I'm with Nancy. Who cares if you have that gene? Because knowing that you can it turns on and turns off, they just happen to catch it when it's turned on. Oh my gosh, and no, you got cancer. You need this, and you got to do this.
Yeah, but going to you don't see cancer very often on the scans. Am I correct about that?
Right. Well, we see cancer. It's about almost every time it's in somebody that doesn't have a cancer diagnosis. I've had cancer 3 or 4 scans, maybe 5. Delan's had it. I know a lot of people in my life, personally as well as business, that it shows up. Not one of them has ever had a cancer diagnosis. Okay, so but we're looking for real cancer, though. We're looking for actually mutated cells in the body, and there's a variety of different kinds, and we can locate them if it's real cancer. In the allopathic and most of the naturopathic world, they're looking and testing for viruses, fungi, bacteria, chemicals, and as markers to give you a cancer diagnosis. Big difference, real cancer or a cancer diagnosis. Okay, real cancer, according to Dr. Hamer from Germany, is actually everyone gets it 10, 12, 15 times in their life. It's a part of a healing process after an emotional upset of some kind.
Right.
Well, the American medical model is not that. It's looking for parasites, pathogens, chemicals as markers to get you slotted into a chemical diagnosis, then to get you into the revenue stream of whatever their poison is of today. So you really got to look at the differences. Is it real cancer, or is it the AMA definition of their cancer, what they're calling cancer, which was created basically as a revenue stream for the medical system.
Right.
All right, there's so much information today. I mean, in 1936 or something, there was a Cancer Act in Europe. So you tell me, if this isn't premeditated, they got laws put into place in the 30s prior to the actual cancer research that was done in the 40s, 50s, and 60s to create the cancer epidemic we have today. This is a strategic, laid out, step-by-step, back well over 80 years in the making, to then have a revenue stream of today and destroying people's lives, destroying people's bodies, destroying people's families with the word cancer. And it's never, hardly ever, less than 1% of the time it's ever cancer in what we're looking at. People that come to us with a cancer diagnosis, literally less than 1% is actual real cancer. It's always some kind of pathogen, parasite, or chemical.
It's often a sort of infection. Is that what it is as well, Will?
Say that again, please. I missed it.
It's often some sort of infection or a virus. Is that what you're seeing on the screen?
If you want to look at 99+% as often, yeah, it's fraud is what it is. Okay? They're giving you a cancer diagnosis, and we're finding tapeworm, nematodes, we're finding SB40 or SV40, we're finding polio, I mean, they had one guy that had a polio, he had polio, and they were calling it spinal cancer. And he is exhibiting everything my cousin in the 40s or 50s had as a polio as a kid. It was exactly what this guy was called. The medical system in John Hopkins was calling cancer of the spine. And it was really a polio virus that was eating away his central nervous system, causing polio. Right? It was a polio virus.
That reminds me, actually, I saw an article recently, and it said that someone was injecting the polio virus into people to cure cancer. I'd have to look it up and find the article, but that was a bit of an eye-opener.
Yeah, they're promoting polio vaccinations as a cancer cure. And so the only way they can do that is because they know they've created the cancer, so now they've turned the cancer on, which is a pathogen, and now they're using a pathogen to turn it off. This is an engineered revenue stream, period. And if people would just stop going there and look elsewhere. I mean, I have to refer back to Cheryl. She was calling, about the dentist thing. A year. Okay, a year of not going to the dentist. Okay. That's hard for people to, in this day and age, the way we have hard marketing everywhere about the dentist, about the doctors, about you got to get your teeth cleaned every 4 months or 6 months. You got to go get your annual physical. Why do I have to go get an annual physical? Yeah.
Everybody I know seems to be going for a colonoscopy lately, and I'm saying to myself, what?
Okay, so it's really simple. It's extremely simple if you look at it. Just back up and just look at it more objectively. So they're going to stick this thing that's quite stiff. I don't have anything here. This is fairly flexible. This is a wire, right? The thing is much more stiff than this, and they're going to put it against the current of a one-way stream to try to prevent something. No, they're going to identify. All they're doing is looking for more diseases that they can start to, or hard market you. Like, oh, there's a polyp. Ooh, did you see that? Oh, you got colon cancer. Ooh, And in the process of looking for disease and illness, they're creating more disease and illness. It's no different than a mammary, what do they call that? Mammograms.
Mammogram.
They take your breast and they squish it in between a vise, and then they irradiate it. Okay, so now they're forcing the mutation of the BRAC2 gene.
Right.
Okay, so then when you go get a blood test 3, 4, 6 months later, oh my gosh, you have this gene. Now you have breast cancer. Now we got to yak your breast off. So it's like you got to really get this is really not very a pleasant thing. This is insidious. This is like not good. Okay, so that's why I'm trying to get people to look at things differently. Okay, just look at things from a different an alternate perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just consider, maybe consider that that whole system isn't really there to help you at all. That whole system talks you into a colonoscopy which doesn't prevent anything because it causes harm. So how can prevention cause harm? Same with a mammary gland. What are they doing? They're radiating your breast. And plus, they're pressuring it at the same time. So they're breaking the tissue down and they're irradiating it at the same time. What's preventative about that? Nothing.
And they make rude comments about your breast while they're at it.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, that's a girl thing. Let's look at a guy thing. Let's look at a prostate. Let's look at a prostate thing. Let's look at scoping your prostate and your bladder, which everybody by the age of, what, 45, they should be doing it every 6 months or something like that. So there's a tube this big in diameter, which is not very big, it's a wire, that they stick up your urethra, where you urinate through, forcing its way through one-way valves, to take pictures and to look, and damage takes place. This is not a very flexible thing compared to body tissue in a your urethra tube. So it's guaranteeing that there's going to be something wrong at your next physical, to then they can treat, or they can get you talked into more treatments, or sell you some drugs, or do something to keep you in the revenue stream. Okay. My goal is to work myself out of customers. I want you so well that I don't have to talk to you, unless you're going to call just to say hi.
I hear you.
But in order to do that, we have to change your mind, the way you think, because we are programmed to think that going and doing this procedure, like putting your breast in a vise, is going to make you live longer, which in fact it won't. There is no scientific data at all, true scientific data, that says squishing your breast and radiating it is going to make you live longer. So it's about changing your thought pattern, helping you to see that there's other views out there other than the one that you have been programmed with. I mean, just Nancy can answer this. How hard and how many times did you give a call totally mortified with some of the things we were suggesting?
You mean the things you were asking me to do for my family, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Not too many, but we were talking about a couple of things right before, Cheryl. Maybe the AOT kind of, you know, that kind of thing. But most things are just very simple.
They are, but you did call several times in the beginning about what about this and what about this and how about that. You know, it's what if I told you to? Why would you even want to go to the doctor or the dentist to get your teeth cleaned? Why? There's no reason to go to get your teeth cleaned.
Because we're told we should do this, and that'll prevent cavities.
Thank you. But the actual data, and I got this straight from a dentist's mouth. There is no scientific evidence to prove cleaning your teeth will prevent cavities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of marketing ploys out there that will tell you that cleaning your teeth will not, will keep you from getting cavities. Okay, but if you're looking at the data, okay, what if I told you, I tell people, why would you even go do that? Why would you even go get a colonoscopy? Why would you even want to do that? Well, if you're living the typical American life and you're eating all kinds of crap, you probably want to check yourself out to see if there is parasites and polyps and stuff in your intestinal tract. Okay, but if you're not living, if you're coming out of that world and you're coming over here and we're doing things preventatively, we're trying to take things out of the diet that's going to harm you and put things into the diet that's going to benefit you, then is there really any reason for that particular procedure?
Yeah.
No. You see, there again, we're coming back to the way we think. That's the biggest thing. And that's why I tell people, if you're going to use our methods and you're going to continue to go to the doctors, even most of the naturopathic doctors, as well as the medical doctors, there's going to be strong conflicts because we're encouraging the body to put the junk into the blood to get it out through the detox pathways, and they're testing the bloods, and their numbers go way up, and everything they're checking goes way crazy, and now they're going to scare you into saying that we're doing something that's causing you harm, when in fact we are definitely causing your body to detox and to heal, and it drives their numbers crazy because they're trying to suppress the healing. We're encouraging the healing. And there again, that's all about perspective, an alternate perspective.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I just got that question today. Well, I'm seeing a naturopath, and she's giving me vitamins, and should I keep doing that if I start taking the protocol from the hand scan? And I said, quite honestly, I think you need to stop all that because that's just going to confuse your body because your body is supposed to be making its own vitamins. So now how does that affect you if all of a sudden you're taking these synthetically produced vitamins, pushing that into your system, and meanwhile your body's trying to heal and produce its own vitamins? I don't see how that could possibly work.
You mean it works, but it just won't be positive in the outcome.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It is there again. You got to pick your path. Don't be mixing. It's like mixing. Mixing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with onion soup. Usually it leaves a foul taste in your mouth. You just don't want to do that, and you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your money, and you're confusing your body. Because, for instance, a lot of people will do that. I mean, that's classic naturopathy. We're going to dump all these vitamins into you. Well, our body's supposed to make our vitamins. Our goal is to get your body to start functioning the way it was intended, and that means make its own vitamins as it sees fit.
Okay, but so what if this same situation comes up that they say, well, we got a blood test, and the blood test showed that my body is not making the vitamins, so that's why I need this. In other words, there's a genetic problem with me that it can't make the vitamins. How do you answer something like that?
Well, you're listening to people that are under the mind control of that you have a certain amount of genes and then you're destined that's the way it's going to be. So therefore, it's back to perception again. Okay, so if you're going to listen to that view, then what I tell people is, just go over there and do what you're going to do over there. Okay, when that fails, which it will, then give us a call and then we can correct the mess. Well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't believe in hard selling. I really don't. I believe in pleading my case. I will plead my case with you. I will ask you some hard questions, and one of them is, so what if I told you that taking all those vitamins, all that's doing is making your urine very bright and yellow and colorful, and making, you know, a lot of waste going into the toilet that really doesn't benefit you. Okay, you get short-term relief possibly, or actually some people feel really good, like stimulation, by taking, like, for instance, B12. Okay, well, but is it fixing anything? No, because B12 is supposed to be created inside your body. Vitamin D is supposed to be created inside your body. So our goal is to get your body to start making vitamin D again, or B12, period. Like, you may have to take it a little bit for a while, and if you know, or wean yourself off eventually as your body starts to heal, if you want to do it that way. I've had people just cold turkey quit all that vitamin stuff. They feel a little weird for a while. I mean, Cheryl's got a gal right now that's a neighbor of hers that's, you know, going off of over 10 years of anti-seizure drugs. And
Wow.
it's been a bit of a trip, because your body after 10 years becomes highly dependent on the drugs to keep the seizures suppressed. Well, you know, the drugs are gone, and now the body's got to adjust over 10 years of, you know, a program, and now has got to adjust, and it gets a little bit emotionally trying at times.
She says she's feeling good again today.
Well, that's good. I mean, there's going to be ups and downs. I mean, the body is overhauling itself from 10 years of being on toxins.
Yeah.
You know, we're encouraging the body to start functioning right. And so a lot of people, that transition time, they're not emotionally equipped to handle it, because their mind is programmed that I should be able to take a pill and feel good. We have this delusion of instant gratification, which isn't based in reality. It's based in that altered, twisted reality, but it's not based in the reality of how the body and homeostasis works. I mean, what is this? You know, it takes several years for the body to completely regenerate itself. So if you've been on a pharmaceutical drug for 10, 12, 18 years, your body now has become dependent and polluted by the drug. And so that means it takes a little bit of time to regenerate all those healthy cells and get the body to function right, to get all that junk out of you. And then the body has to start creating healthy cells to replace the damaged cells from the drugs. And that takes something. That is not an overnight process. And I'll be the first one to admit it. I was on drugs. I was on, let's see, I had 4 different inhalers that I used almost daily. I was taking several pills every day. I was getting at least 1 shot every Wednesday. That was my thing. On Wednesdays, I got a shot. And that was almost all of that was just for asthma.
Wow.
And my friend gave me 1 glass of herbal, black, muddy-looking, putrid-tasting crap, and in 20 minutes, my asthma went away. And I quit pretty much cold turkey shortly after that, all of my medicines. And I said, I will die drinking this foul-tasting crap before I take all that drugs anymore. And I just quit. And I'll tell you what, it was one of the most hardest things I've ever done. And the other thing was I had to drink this foul-tasting crap. But I saw the value of drinking this foul-tasting crap because I didn't have that drugs, and those drugs definitely altered my perception of my reality, because I could totally abuse some of those inhalers, and it would give you psychedelic trips. It would make your body go into these weird, you know, drug-enhanced states, just like recreational type drugs. And here, I could drink this stuff that didn't taste good, that smelled bad, and I felt like $1,000,000 just by drinking a tea. So, you know, I put value in that, and that's where I'm coming from, like we were talking about before. I would drink this foul-tasting stuff knowing that this thing felt better, it run better, I sleep better, I breathe better. Why wouldn't you drink that then? It
Yeah.
come from the earth. I collected those herbs with my friend from nature. We wildcrafted all those teas. So we not only had the medicinal value of the tea, but I will say there was a spiritual or energetic side of that because I was involved in the actual collection of it, and I had access, and I mean I had connection to nature. Most people don't have that connection anymore.
Yeah.
They live in a town, or nature isn't even around them. They're in agriculture, which isn't really nature. So
Interesting stuff.
yeah,
We will gather some herbs sometime, Nancy.
I know. Going to foraging.
yeah. There's
Well,
all kinds of.
go
What's
ahead.
that, Nancy?
Oh no, continue. What are you going to
So
say,
anyhow,
Will?
we just really want to get people to start considering that the classical AMA medicine, as well as the classic naturopathic medicine, really isn't there to get you vibrantly healthy anymore. I mean, I'm living proof of it. I was trained classic naturopath, and I have veered off over the last 15 years totally from that over here to do what I do. And you and Cheryl are witnesses of what this crazy alternative thing can really do to you and your family and your life. And there's hundreds and hundreds of other people, and there's quite a few hundred in the Facebook chat room thing. Plus, now with our with
Well,
our
this is why, this is why Cheryl and I, and all your hand scan hubs, this is why we put our hand up and said, hey, we want to be involved. I mean, it's a calling almost. We called you. Like, how can we help? How can we get involved in this? I think, I can't speak for how Cheryl got involved with you, but I certainly was studying an online course. I was going to integrative holistic health and nutrition and all of this. The school bombed out, plus everything they were teaching, I didn't agree with anything. And that was even before meeting you, Will. So once I saw that, and then the school bottomed out, I said, well, I guess that's the end of that. Then after meeting you, I said, Will, I wonder if you'd be interested in, like, is there any way to get involved with you? And that's how it led to me doing it. And I'm sure Cheryl has her own story there, if you'd like to share, Cheryl.
I know, even back in the 90s, I mean, I had some issues. I was tired all the time, and it wasn't just from being a new mom, little kids and stuff. There was more to it. But I told myself, if I ever find something that helps me, I'm going to support it 100%. So last Christmas time in their newsletter, after I'd been a client for 9 months or so, they had mentioned that they were looking for people who might be interested in doing hand scans. And actually, I always thought that was a really good idea, something that I thought would be good to have locally available to people. So it was already in my mind to do. Yeah, I mean, I have my doubts now and then because, yeah, it's been a big learning curve, and there's a lot to it. But yeah, I'm doing it.
We're doing it. Anyway, Will, I'm sorry Bob didn't join us tonight. We're having such a great conversation here, and we miss him. We miss you, Bob. And I know you didn't join us tonight, but we do have one thing we want to say to you, and what is that, guys? Happy birthday!
happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Bob! A big kiss from all of us. So we're sorry, but we'll have you on again, and we'll figure out this crazy Google Plus thing. And but we had a great time talking with you, Will. If there's anything else you want to add, well, I'll back off here. But if not, I think maybe
Well,
that.
I do, and thank you for this, girls, because this is amazing. We don't have time to do all this. I am so thankful that you guys are doing, stepped up and like made this happen, like the Facebook page that's there. I mean, the people that respond to that. So I haven't had a negative thing yet. People are saying, "Wow, that's such a great thing," and so I haven't had any negatives. There is some things in the changing with the website, so please be patient with that. Um, we are transferred over to the new servers, and things are there. The ordering and whatnot is there. Everything is functioning that way. It's just the information. A bunch of the links aren't working yet. The videos are not up yet. So just please be patient. And if you got any questions, always call. The phone number's all over the website.
Right. Well, we
So,
got everything hooked up on the Facebook page, and that is Body Electrician Community Kitchen. If anybody's interested, go over to Facebook, join us. It's a public group. Love to have new members. And thank you, Cheryl, again for starting up that page. We're having fun on there. And thank you, everybody, for sharing all the wonderful recipes, too. Everybody keeps throwing. There's a new one just the other day. What was it? It was more pancakes, but it was made with cream cheese and eggs, I think. Oh, I can't wait to try that.
we'll be having that one soon, too. I'll let you know how it goes here.
That's why do we crave the pancakes? Because we can't have them anymore. No, but yeah. No, you can. This is such a better way to have it, and you don't feel like, oh, I'm throwing my body off,
Right.
It's more like you have a brick in your tummy from eating those. I used to feel like, oh.
Yes, yes. Oh, a very quick thing, Will. The other day, my husband and I had some pasta because we never have that, but on the weekend we said we're going to have some pasta. We both were wiped out, and to hear Joe say, I'm wiped out. I need a nap after this. I never thought I'd hear him say that. So that was pretty funny. The pasta man saying, I'm wiped out from pasta. That was pretty funny.
Oh, I do have one more announcement there for the pasta people out there. We're going to be at an event, let's see, next month, well, this month now, 10, 11, and 12 in Philadelphia at the Free Your Mind conference. So just to keep that in mind. So this is a good way to make announcements as well, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
We have quite a few things in the works. We're going to be, let's see, I'm one of the speakers at the Tesla Technology Conference in Albuquerque. I believe I'm talking on Friday. I think that's August 1st. It's either July, the last day in July or the 1st of August. So we'll be at that conference as well in Albuquerque. You can check that out. So, we'll just keep you posted. I can make the more announcements in that Facebook group. We're going to be having, as soon as we get this, the software in the website done, we'll be having our newsletters out again. So, everyone will be able to be in touch that way as well. So, and we'll be sharing recipes and stuff for those that don't do Facebook. So, there's a lot of things just going on, and it's, please be patient if you can. Otherwise, call and complain. You can always call us.
Okay. You got like one of those little complaint forms we can mark off the X's, that kind of thing? Is that what we... Just joking with you.
If you got a problem, you better make it known. Don't just sit home and suffer.
Absolutely.
That's the thing is.
Absolutely. Well,
don't sit home.
That's what the page is for, too. You get a lot of people going, I'm starving for carbs and things like that. And, we can explain how long that's going to take and when you'll feel better. And when you do, you'll forget that you ever felt that way, actually. So
Yeah, you never know how bad you felt until you feel really good and then go back to those old habits. And then just like the no pasta and then pasta for one day and then you feel, oh, how do you ever live that way,
That's it. Well, on that note, one more big happy birthday to Bob. And thank you, everybody.
Happy birthday, Bob. We miss you.
Happy birthday, Bob.
All right, good night, everybody. Thanks again for joining us for Body Electrician Live. We'll see you again soon.